All right, so we're going to talk about two ways to graph linear equations that are in standard form. So here's standard form with x and y on the same side. And I'm going to solve this method by intercepts, which means I'm trying to find the x and the y intercept. Now, if you remember about the x and the y intercept, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to solve for the y-intercept. So that means I need to figure out where x is 0. So if x is 0 in this equation, this entire thing will completely disappear. So the 3x will completely go away because 3 times 0 is 0. So I am going to solve for my y-intercept first. So negative 2y equals 24. And I'm going to solve that by dividing by negative 2. So y equals negative 12. So my y-intercept is at negative 12. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but for my x-intercept. So my x-intercept is where y equals 0. So if y equals 0, that means this whole thing goes away. And I'm left with 3x equals 24. To solve that equation, I divide by 3 on both sides. So y equals 8, not y. X equals 8. Okay, so I'm going to take my graph paper now, and I am going to graph this by intercepts. So on my x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, I'm going to put a dot on 8. You'll see that I've already numbered my coordinate plane by 2's. Okay? So on the x-axis, I'm putting a dot on 8. On the y-axis, I'm putting a dot on negative 12. And then my line is going to cross through both of these points. So there is my graph of 3x minus 2y equals 24. So that's by intercepts. But the other way to graph standard form is by solving for y. So if I'm going to do this by solving for y, that means I need to figure out what y equals. So in a previous video, we rewrote the equation with the variable we're trying to solve for in a different color. So I am trying to solve for y, so I'm going to write it in orange. So in order to get y by itself, I would need to subtract my 8x from both sides. So I have negative 2y equals, and then again, these are not like terms, so negative 8x plus 10. And to finish out solving for y, here I'm going to divide by negative 2. And remember, I'm dividing the whole thing by negative 2, so negative 8 divided by negative 2 is positive 4x. And then 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So how to graph a line in standard form, we've talked about this multiple times. So the first, or slope-intercept form, excuse me. We've talked about this multiple times. So the first thing you do is figure out your slope. Your slope is the number in front of your x, which in this case is 4. I'm going to write it as 4 over 1 because remember 4 is the rise, 1 is the run. And then my y-intercept is the number out back, which in this case is 5. So on my graph, which I've kept up over here, I am going to put a dot on negative 5 because that is where I start. That's the y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my slope is 4 over 1, which means I'm going to rise 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go over, run 1, and I'm running to the right because I have a positive slope. So I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the right. And there is my line. So there are two methods to solve in standard form, by intercepts and by solving for y. Both are completely valid. I hope this video helped you figure out the difference between the two.